Welcome to another edition of Influence, the global podcast that shines a spotlight on the influencer marketing industry. My name is Gordon Glenister. And for those of you that don't know who I am, I'm a keynote speaker, trainer, and consultant in the sector, and published author on influencer marketing strategy. And Influence is also a proud member of the Marketing Podcast Network, where you can listen to other amazing influencer and marketing related shows. But before we start, please don't forget to subscribe to this show just to make sure that you don't miss a future episode. Well, welcome to another edition of the Influencer Global Podcast. And I must admit, I'm really chuffed to bits to have an amazing guest on today. It's not to say that my other guests haven't been amazing, but this lady in particular, is going to inspire us all, I'm sure. And it's the wonderful Emma Sayle, who has an illustrious career, not least of all, founding a female, I don't know what you like to call it, Emma, female adult entertainment organization, otherwise known as Killing Kittens, which has hit the headlines. And I was amazed to find out when I was doing some research for this. This has been going for, is it 15 years ago that you did this?
17.
17
years, I know.
Wow, that's incredible, isn't it, really, now? So, welcome, Emma. It's lovely to have you on the show. Perhaps you give a little bit of a background as to perhaps why you started Killing Kittens, and even before that, what inspired you to start the organisation?
Do you know, it's lots. There's so many different bits of, and I think I probably started it from the moment I was born and could make a noise and could walk and everything. I just challenged everything, and I was a real tomboy. I just, wanted to be a boy, wanted to climb trees, wanted to play football with the boys, didn't want to do ballet, didn't lasted one day doing brownies. I was rough and tumble sports, and if they could do it, I wanted to do it, and I wanted to do it faster and higher. And it's sort of growing up, and also I lived in the Middle East, and so that sort of, I had this kind of mishmash of, and I was at boarding school over in the UK, growing up in the Middle East, having this sort of in me, this fire in me, well, if boys could do it, I could do it, and everything. And I was a real army, I was a daddy's girl, and he was an army officer, and I was sort of the one that would go camping with him, and as the eldest child was that kind of one. And it just sort of, the more I just had this fire in my belly that it was like, well, why can't girls do these things? Why can't they do that? And why are we told that you've got to be a good girl, you've got to sort of stay in your lane, kind of boys will be boys? That all these expressions were just sort of in my head the whole time. And as I got older, you then obviously hormones kick in and you move into the dating world. And again, in that, it was sort of this, well, why are the girls sat around waiting to be asked out? That, with the control with the boys, and it's all about what the boys want, and sex is all about what the boys want. And at university, it was sort of, the slut shaming that goes on in girls. I'm 44, so back then, it's still bad now, it's better, but back then it was like, God forbid you had a one night stand, and it was so, and that guilt as well, that if you did, or even if you I remember snogging a few guys and getting a bit naked, and in my head was like, I can't have sex with them because that's just me being a slut. It's sort of, looking back at it, it's ridiculous that you could do everything but have sex, because that bit is the bit that made you a slut. And whereas boys just sort of, it kind of, and then you got told, these girls aren't girlfriend material. Well, why not? Because they've slept with loads of boys, whereas guys could just shag around and do exactly what they wanted. So I had this kind of, it was just this fire, I always say, in my belly of just, that was just raging and getting more and more and more stoked, and went to work in the city doing financial PR, and had some of the harassment issues with a boss, and which just really disappointed me, because I just went into the city thinking we're all equal. I've been at all girls boarding school as well, where I got taught that I could be whatever I wanted professionally, and to have that sort of first experiences, again, it was just like, this is ridiculous. And it was kind of the time that Sex and the City came out. Laylo had kind of hit, had gone into Selfridges, the sex toys, and Summers had hit the high streets. It was sort of 2004, 2005. There was this sort of buzz about female sexual revolution, is what they were saying about it. And I thought, fine, but it's still not happening. It's, there's always this talk about it, but and I just decided, the 3-day bender in Ibiza, and having not slept for 3 nights, helped me suddenly go, this is what I'm doing, and it's going to be called Killing Kittens, which was from a whole group of us sat around, and someone who couldn't make this wedding I was at So you guys just all sat around killing kittens at the moment, which is cyber slang for every time you masturbate, God kills a kitten. So
Oh, I see. That's where it
that's
came from.
where it surprised me how few people ever ask me where the ridiculous name comes from, because it is ridiculous. And right away I thought, well, I like the two Ks. I was like, it's a K is a very powerful letter. And it's so from day one, it's been KK. You're a member of KK. And I just wanted to create a world, offline and online, where women could feel in control, explore their sexuality, be part of a community, ask the questions, and have the discussions that maybe they're embarrassed to have with their girlfriends. And so, sort of what started as monthly parties for kind of 50 to 80 people, um, with an online presence, which then sort of the digital world kicks off and social media kicks off. So the online side has grown massively, and now actually we're considered a tech business. So it's the big sort of adult social network kind of, and a dating aspect and a WhatsApp. So think Bumble meets Facebook meets WhatsApp with the Eventbrite, the whole of the event side of it. And obviously as sexuality and gender has exploded as well, it's sort of, it's not as black and white as, you know, you are straight, you're gay, or you're bi
Mm.
anymore, which is kind of what it was 17 years ago. So it's sort of, we've just evolved digitally, and we've evolved on the gender and sexuality spectrum as well. And now it's sort of a safe space for sort of all disenfranchised people sexually to come and learn and educate and feel safe and looked after, and sort of, yeah, give them a home.
Well, and that's really interesting you say that because I know education is a big part of what you do. It's about actually supporting couples, it's supporting relationships because, particularly when it comes to dating, of course, there's now so many options for people, aren't there? I mean, the divorce rate is at epidemic levels, as I'm sure you know. And if there's a way in which people can experience things that add value to their relationship, then it's obviously that's got to be good. So it's not just about the parties or the events, is it? It's also about the community, as you've said, and you've harnessed that extremely well. But what I was going to ask you is, how have you managed to really come out in the mainstream press media about that on what was perhaps an area of slight taboo, amongst other,
Yeah.
so-called events.
I think, do you know, I think I started it when I was 25, 26. And I was such an obnoxious, opinionated little shit back then, who would not listen to anyone, and just, you know what I mean, just had the balls of I don't know what, and just everything, every bone in my body told me what I was doing was right, and what was going on in society when it came to women and sex was wrong. And it didn't matter what anyone said around me. It, to me, I always say the mission and that plan, and me, I wanted to change the world, and
Mm.
I was just the messenger. And I think from day one, I took that emotion out of me. I took the personal out of me. So from day one, the personal attacks that occurred just didn't, it just sort of water ducks back, because I was literally this messenger,
Yeah.
and still am. I don't think of, when I get attacked like that. And I think, and so from day one, it was like, well, this is what I'm doing, and I'm not embarrassed to do it. And we always joke, I always joke that it's, I've been Ron Seal since day one. I've done exactly what it's said on the tin, and not been embarrassed by it, and not hidden. So actually, when it comes to the media, it's sort of, well, they can't get any dirt on me, because I've given them the dirt. I've given
Yeah.
them everything. This is what I'm doing. So I'm not going to pretend to be doing something else. I'm not going to pretend that sex doesn't go on. And it's just sex.
Yeah.
So that's
Well,
been the
well,
main
well,
part
that's
of
a
it.
really interesting point that you said there, because I mean, you speak with such conviction and passion about what you believe in, and that's a really positive attribute for entrepreneurs at time, particularly female entrepreneurs, which of course have grown hugely in the influencer marketing sector, as we were talking about, during the discussion before. Some 85% now of influence are coming from this sector, but a lot, although good online, actually probably are still limiting their business acumen. So it's really It's really good and interesting to hear how you've addressed those difficult questions that would have happened, and also about being transparent and say, look, if you share everything, there's no, 'cause you know what a journalist is all about. It's trying to dig for
Yeah.
the dig for the for the juicy stuff, isn't it? But yeah, you tell them how it is, and there's nothing else for them to go and
They
see.
can't find anymore. They
They
just,
can't
well, yeah,
find
exactly. I
anymore.
give them every drop of juice.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do. So, and then of course you've done other things, of course, haven't you? The sisterhood and the safe date. Tell us a little bit more about that.
So the sisterhood, I kind of started at the same time. It's it was another drunk moment. It always happens. Wine is the cause of everything in my life. It was I was down doing this. I've always done loads of sport, and I was down in the British Quadrathlon down in Cornwall, and there was a group of guys that had just done a race, and they'd done it under the Brotherhood, and they said, "Oh, they were giving the big kind of, we're gonna go across the English Channel." And I went, "Oh, sod it, I'm gonna launch a sisterhood, and we'll race you across the English Channel." And then the next day woke up and went, crap. This is what I've said. But once I've said I'm going to do something, so it sort of started as a group, rounded up a whole load of girls I knew from just different areas, and said, right, let's train. We're going to train 3 times a week, and we're going to basically dragon boat across the English Channel and race this group of guys. And what came out of that was, and for charity as well, again, it's that community. So I think I'm all about belonging and having your tribe, and it was the social side and the community side of it that I loved. To me, that the actual race was just sort of a byproduct kind of thing of it. So after the first year, I thought, I want to keep this going, but actually let everyone and anyone girl-wise in who wants to do it, whether they want to run a 5K or whether they just want to come to social events. And we've always done big challenges around the world, from the Amazon raft race to some of us relay swam the channel. We've done loads of different. We relay ran from LA to Vegas, which was fun a couple of years ago. But all in aid of like different, women and children's charities. And we're just loads and loads of different women joining us from all different backgrounds. And again, it's been that community and that tribe. They're my tribe, and it's sort of, a lot of people go, wow, they're extreme adventure do, and I just go, well, my work's extreme, so I kind of need to balance it out on the other end of the spectrum. So
Yeah.
I just live in the extremes of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Balanced, though, perfectly balanced.
And so because of the nature of what you do, and you're such a driven person, and let's not forget you've got 3 young children as well, haven't you? So
Yeah.
just balancing all that in your life, um, you must have had some challenges along the way. Were there moments where you thought, "Oh shit, I can't do this anymore," or what?
I mean,
What were those moments like?
do you know what? I'm not, almost daily, there's a moment where I just go, I can't do this. This is just, why am I doing that? It would be easier just get a 9 to 5, or get even like part-time work or something that, trying to juggle the childcare and everything. And so there's a lot of moments, but then, I'm a big picture person, and remind myself, of the whole chessboard and why I'm doing it. And there are times, and all, there's so many different times, and all, I've got full on ADHD as well, so that helps on one level. But there's also, what I've learned with that is, there's some weeks every month, there's a week every month, which is on the hormones, because I'm regular as clockwork, and there's a week every month where there is no point me even trying to do any work. There's literally no point, because my brain is no. So that week I just literally do loads of sport, run around with the kids, and then I have the most unbelievable productive week. And it's the same every month. So rather than I think I spent my 30s sort of frustrated and why can't I concentrate, and I'm like jumping all over the place, and I've sort of made peace with just who I am and how I function, and not beat myself up if I'm having a day where the brain says no. And because I know that when the brain says yes, I can get more done in 3 hours than most people can get done in a week. So
That's a really good, it's a really good lesson, isn't it? So you're almost living the Emma life rather than a blueprint of anybody else's, because you've got to adapt to what makes you work best and what you like doing. I've always been a great believer in, particularly amongst entrepreneurs, do what you love doing, and just outsource what you don't like doing, because there's nothing worse. And let's be honest, when you start up a business, when cash is tight, and I'm sure that happened, of course, when you started out, is flexing this idea, people wouldn't have necessarily believed in it, and you've got doubters, investors that were, for every person that invested, you probably would have spoken to loads that said not for me, and and
Yeah,
it's like, oh goodness, this is endless, and that is where real tenacity and drive and determination comes from, and and even from a woman, I mean, how few women are in the boardroom even today in FTSE 100 companies. Although it's growing, it's still in a minority, isn't it? I mean,
they're
what sorts
tiny.
of things do you think? Lots of female entrepreneurs listen to this podcast. What sort of lessons would you give to some of them? If you look back now and you could write an Emma Sayle, this is how I did it, or what sort of some of the things that really strike out for you?
I think we hold on, and it might not. I don't think it's just a women thing. I think it's across the board on entrepreneurs. We hold on to that control, I think, too long, a lot of the time, and it's only been when I've let go and I've let other people come on board. I was on my own for the first 7 years of KK, and it was so when I sort of let go and let other people come on board, and people better than me, and actually even now I can still go. I've got an amazing CEO, and he's been on board for like 5 years. He's like this tech digital guru. But sometimes even now I'm thinking, well, why am I involved in these decisions? And then I think, because I don't want to. It's tech, it's digital. It doesn't appeal to me in any shape or form. I'm not interested. So why would I want to be in a 2-hour meeting? It discusses. So there's still, I think it's that the ego and self battle in you is that when you let go of the ego and actually go, really, that ego is wanting to do everything and keep control of everything. But when you let the self kick in, you go, but actually the self can't be asked to do that, can't be asked to do that, isn't interested in that. It's actually I'm only interested in about 5-10% really, which is that drive and getting the message out there, and
Mm.
and changing the
You've
world. The
you've
big
become.
picture
Well,
side.
I was
Yeah.
going to say you've become the ambassador for the brand and the founder and the creator, and I think that was a really good decision to bring a CEO in to really help drive the business forward, and that's what you see with a lot of the dragons, don't you? You actually say, look, what we want the right people running the business, because sometimes founders. Can't be good at everything. Well, they're not. They're not good at everything, but it's difficult in those early years, isn't it? Because you try to be, you try and learn and figure things out. But no, that sounds really. What about Safe Dates then? What's that about?
So SafeTech was an app when we were building on our new platform, which we started about 5 years ago. The one thing we noticed, like in our chat rooms in the community, in especially like the girls only ones, was when they were going out on a date, they would tell girls in the group, we're going out on this date, Tinder date, this is where we're going. If I haven't checked back into this group by midnight, then send out a search party type thing. We've all done that, on dates that we don't know. And so we were kind of we were going to build this kind of safe date technology into our technology of checking into the app and then putting your safe people in, so that if you didn't check back into the app, then your safe people will get an email or a text message just saying so and so had you as a safe person, they were on a date with this person in this venue type thing. And then so we were going to put it within the KK world, but then we thought, well, actually teenagers can use that, on play dates, or parents can use it, and anyone can use it. And if we keep it in the KK thing, then that's sort of
Limited.
that's just that's the adult world, so you're not going to get 13-year-olds in it. So we just launched it as a standalone app, basically.
Great. When did you
Yeah,
do that? How long ago did you do that?
that must have been 2018, I think.
Okay. Oh,
We
okay.
did
So
that.
yeah,
Yeah, I think it must be. I've lost 2 years of my life in the last 2 years, so
yeah. Oh, that's really, really good. No, and well done. I mean, the thing about you, Emma, I get the feeling as though you're a sort of a restless character. So you're always looking at the next thing, where the trends are happening, and it's really good to see. So I guess my question then is, who's influenced you?
do you know what the biggest, other than my mum, who's like my biggest all my life, strongest woman I know, but other than that, I mean, she was just sort of always being told she couldn't do something as an army wife, but then organised massive food and medical convoys from when we lived in Berlin to go into Russia. And even though all the army lot was saying you can't do that, she'd go watch me. So
That's good.
she's always been. But the only other person who's been the massive one is Dolly Parton, which man, since I was little, we've always had her music playing. She's got she's got a song for everything. There's a song for everything, every part of my life. If I hear songs, Dolly Parton songs, I'll always, and her songs are proper stories. And they're real stories and they're real life. And when you look at her story as well of what she came from to achieve what she did, and you know, one of the first female country singer really to go for it, and the doors that got slammed on her, and the way she was treated, and looking after her family, and keeping her faith as well, and her positivity, and you know, optimism in life, and just, she's just got an amazing faith in life. And yeah, so she's my go-to, and
That's
yeah,
interesting you
I
say
just
that.
love her.
That's great to hear. It's great to hear. I wondered if Tina Turner might have been an inspiration to you because she was somebody that suffered from abuse, of course, in quite a lot of her life, and rose to amazing stardom. Not too long ago, I saw the musical in London. I don't know if you've seen it, but
No, I don't know her story that much, so actually I need to look at it. I
It,
need to,
it
yeah.
was, I mean, the entire standing ovation. It really moved me to tears, to be honest. It was a great story, and I think that's what's fascinating now about the world that we live in, don't we? We want to hear stories. Don't want to be sold to stuff. We want to hear what's behind the
Yeah,
individual. We also want to hear what's behind the brand now. It's not enough. That is why influencer marketing is so exciting, is where brands can use individuals to promote a product or service in a way that's quite unique. You know, we find ourselves relating to people. You know, I bet a lot of people that have joined Killing Kittens has been through word of mouth marketing as
yeah,
opposed to just promotion, and that speaks volumes, doesn't it? Because if people feel safe, feel good about it, then of course they're going to tell their friends, and and also I think it's breaking down some of the taboos as well of our society and making, you know, we all talk about these things sometimes behind closed doors. Why can't we make it much more open? And I think you've done more than just um, run a business rather. You've done, I think you've done a lot in terms of creating bigger conversations around safe sex and the environment and conversations around it. So I applaud you for that, which
thank
is
you.
great. Um, so I think lastly, what I was going to ask you is, what does it take to be a woman of influence? Why do people relate to you? Why do people want to hear your story? What do you think is important in being an ambassador for something that you believe in?
I think the main thing, we touched on it a bit earlier, is that being real, that being I would say being unapologetically selfish is what I sort of, my advice to anyone. You've got to, which sounds awful, and also as a woman, you know, saying, oh, you need to be selfish is just not something that's in our makeup. But actually, you need to be selfish. If you don't look after you, if you're not real to you, then you can't keep anyone happy, and especially not yourself. So um um I think that sort of, that's the biggest thing, is being real, and being, and also being vulnerable. And I know that that word is used, thrown around a lot at the moment, in the sort of the mental health and the vulnerability. But no one, you know, no one wants to see a machine. No one wants to see, and especially when you look, you know, when girls look up to, you know, other like big businesswomen or stuff, you don't want to see a robot. You don't want to see, you know, with the sister side of things, we do some panel chats and things, and I host them, and I tell the guests, I don't want to hear about your successes. I want to hear the lows and the failures, and because
Absolutely.
that's what
Oh my God,
inspires
Emma.
people. Yeah, that's
Oh
what
my God.
inspires people, because you can relate to it. So if I talk about my 20s, and there are 20-year-olds in the audience, and they can relate to stuff, then they, because otherwise they just see a 40-year-old businesswoman who looks like she's a little bit successful, so, and has achieved XYZ, but actually it's the story and the journey and the admitting failures and the fuck ups, and that actually inspires people and influences people.
Totally right.
It's
Totally
not
right.
the end story. Yeah,
No, I totally. I mean, you're just talking my language entirely. You know, I mean, when I look to somebody, I just can't be done with people that look like they're faultless. And you know how I've scaled a multi-million-pound business, and I've done this, and I've done this, and I've done that. And you think, well, I need to find a chink somewhere. I've got to find, because I
mm,
can't relate to that.
yeah,
And you're so right. And I think particularly amongst women, that there aren't enough role models. And when we start to see them, and they're in touch with their audience, it's not like they're aloof. Or I mean, the fact that you're already, you know, involved in the community, you know, you're hosting rooms, people can talk to you as a regular person. You're not somebody that is too distant from them. So I think that's really good. Um, okay, just to finish then, where's next for the community? Where do you want to take it? I mean, you've got 150,000 members, did you say, or
I think we're up to about 180,000
180,000? Okay.
now. But we're one of big things is pushing the premium members. So the premium memberships, which gets all the education, the workshops, and everything free and included. Well, not free, included in the membership. But our big push at the moment is like we've just done a financial raise now. We're just in the middle of closing it. And it's the big push in the States because our membership over there is growing. We're doing events in New York, and just to basically be, the world's first sort of adult social network and biggest social network on that front. That's the aim, really.
Yeah, great. Well, Emma Sayle, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you today, and well done on your successes. Yeah, you're a very inspiring individual. I'm sure loads of people will want to listen to your episode today.
Thanks for having me.
That's it for another edition of Influence. Don't forget to subscribe to this show and give me your feedback, gordon@gordonglenister.com, or you can follow me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, where you can also ask me a question. If you're able to give us a 5-star review, then we really do appreciate it. And also, if you want help in creating an influencer marketing strategy, or you want to join the Influencer Marketing Roundtable weekly event, head over to gordonglenister.com, where you can find all about it. And if you want to find out more about our shows and others, go over to the Marketing Podcast Network. Thanks as always to my producer, Neil Whiteside from Freedom One. And until next time, from me, Gordon Glenister, it's bye for now.